Gold worth billions vanished before an empire could claim it, hidden somewhere between betrayal, storms, and silence. And the men sent to recover it returned with nothing but stories that sounded like warnings. Some explorers disappeared into dense jungle without leaving tracks behind, while others came back shaken. Carrying maps they refused to show even their superiors. One ship reportedly sailed toward Manila, carrying proof of the greatest treasure ever hidden in the Philippines, only to burn mysteriously before it reached port. Whether myth or suppressed history, the legend persists. A gold hoard so vast that its estimated value today could exceed $50 billion, concealed in a way that allowed Spain, one of the most powerful empires on earth, to search relentlessly yet never truly possess it. Long before modern treasure hunters speculated about hidden wealth beneath mountains and rivers, whispers circulated during the early decades of Spanish expansion across Southeast Asia. The Philippine archipelago sat at a strategic crossroads connecting China, Japan, India, and the Americas, making it not only a center of trade, but also a convergence point for cultures, merchants, and rival powers. Spanish conquistadors arrived expecting tribute and precious metals, and although they did find gold artifacts among local communities, rumors quickly spread of something far greater that had disappeared just before colonial control tightened. Local accounts described royal treasuries moved inland whenever foreign ships approached, caravans traveling under cover of darkness, and leaders determined to ensure their wealth would not fall into foreign hands. Spanish officials became convinced that massive reserves had been deliberately hidden, perhaps by alliances between indigenous rulers and traders who understood that survival depended on secrecy. Early expeditions attempted to locate these caches, but each search ended in frustration, with explorers reporting misleading trails, abandoned camps, and guides who vanished once the journey reached difficult terrain. Instead of a single treasure chamber waiting to be discovered, investigators encountered layers of deception that suggested careful planning. During the height of the Manila galleon trade, when ships crossed the Pacific carrying silver from the Americas and luxury goods from Asia, administrators noticed unusual discrepancies in tribute records, strengthening suspicions that wealth was being redirected away from colonial oversight. Chroniclers described warriors escorting caravans into mountainous regions where foreigners struggled to navigate, and Spanish scouts repeatedly found themselves chasing false rumors deliberately spread among villages. The idea emerged that the treasure was not lost by accident, but hidden as part of a coordinated strategy, possibly representing a collective reserve meant to preserve independence if colonial power weakened. Some believed pirate networks used remote islands as secret vaults, while others suggested that multiple kingdoms pooled their resources into a hidden treasury meant to outlast any empire. Reports sent back to Madrid spoke of potential riches beyond imagination, yet also warned that geography and local resistance made recovery nearly impossible. Over time, these failures transformed into legend, fueling an obsession that haunted colonial administration. Stories centered on a mysterious convoy said to have moved through the islands shortly before Spain consolidated control, carrying ceremonial gold, coins, and trade bullion gathered from various regions. According to oral traditions, the convoy split into smaller groups traveling along separate routes to confuse pursuers, ensuring that even if one portion were discovered, the rest would remain safe. Spanish soldiers attempted to follow but encountered destroyed bridges, false paths, and communities that relocated temporarily to protect the secret. Letters described hidden chambers hinted at but never confirmed, priests who died before revealing crucial information, and expeditions that ended abruptly without explanation. As centuries passed, fragments of colonial records surfaced, containing coded references to lost reserves, which scholars debated while treasure hunters interpreted as proof of a hidden hoard. Some documents mentioned expeditions halted by sudden storms or ambushes, while others described guides abandoning Spanish parties after receiving warnings from elders. Folklore blended with historical documentation, creating a narrative in which immense wealth slipped just beyond Spain's grasp, despite its military dominance. In fictionalized retellings inspired by these mysteries, explorers often encounter clues hidden within religious texts, trade ledgers, or personal diaries, including recurring tales of a navigator who claimed to glimpse a valley filled with gold before vanishing at sea during a second expedition. Archaeological discoveries of isolated gold artifacts far from known settlements supported the idea of systematic concealment, reinforcing the belief that multiple factions collaborated to protect treasure for future generations. As Spanish rule solidified, attempts to locate hidden riches intensified, with secret missions venturing beyond official routes, interrogating villagers and searching sacred sites. Cooperation rarely produced results, suggesting either extraordinary loyalty or deliberate misinformation. Internal tensions arose among officials who accused one another of corruption or incompetence, while myths grew stronger, including stories of lost maps and hidden chambers guarded by traps or supernatural forces. By the time colonial priorities shifted elsewhere, the legend of the Philippine gold hoard had already become one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Fast forward to a fictionalized modern era where a young historian named Mateo discovers forgotten letters, written by a Spanish officer obsessed with the treasure. The letters reference coordinates encoded through astronomical observations, suggesting earlier explorers misinterpreted navigation data. Mateo joins forces with a geologist and a local guide, combining historical analysis with folklore passed down through generations. Their research reveals how the legend evolved across centuries, blending real events with symbolic storytelling. Some villagers warn against digging, claiming the treasure is protected by ancestral spirits, while others describe tunnels that collapse when approached by outsiders. Mateo realizes that the hoard's estimated $50 billion value may represent multiple caches scattered across the archipelago rather than a single massive deposit. Coastal investigations uncover ship manifests describing unusual cargo disguised as religious artifacts, fueling speculation that treasure may have been transported by sea before disappearing during storms. Divers explore reefs rumored to hold sunken galleons, occasionally finding scattered relics but nothing confirming a massive hoard. The ocean becomes another layer of mystery, suggesting that natural disasters could have contributed to the treasure's disappearance. Moving inland, the team navigates volcanic cave systems large enough to conceal enormous wealth, discovering markings that resemble symbols described in colonial documents. Conflicting directions within historical records hint at deliberate attempts to obscure accurate locations, reinforcing the idea that Guardians designed layered defenses combining geography and misinformation. Rumors of Mateo's search attract rival treasure hunters armed with satellite imagery and inherited maps, turning the expedition into a race against time. Ethical dilemmas arise as Mateo struggles to balance discovery with preservation, fearing that reckless excavation could destroy cultural heritage. Further research uncovers evidence of alliances between indigenous leaders and Asian traders, suggesting the hoard represented shared regional wealth rather than a single kingdom's treasury. This realization reframes the legend as a symbol of resilience rather than mere fortune. Contradictory sources claim the treasure was moved repeatedly over centuries, divided among sanctuaries guarded by different communities to ensure no single betrayal could expose everything. In an isolated mountain village, elders speak of glowing metal hidden beneath sacred ground, prompting respectful negotiation before conducting surveys. Radar reveals underground anomalies, yet excavation remains controversial, highlighting tensions between curiosity and cultural respect. Archival evidence suggests Spanish authorities once came dangerously close to discovery before abruptly halting an expedition, possibly due to political intrigue or fear of destabilizing alliances. Eventually, the team uncovers an underground chamber containing gold ornaments and coins from multiple cultures, validating centuries of rumors while confirming it represents only a fragment. News spreads rapidly, drawing international attention and debates over ownership and preservation. Inscriptions within the chamber hint at additional locations connected through astronomical symbols, suggesting a navigational system intended for trusted guardians. Jungle expeditions reveal collapsed tunnels and traces of gold dust, implying treasure was relocated over time. Geological analysis shows earthquakes and volcanic activity could have buried entrances or altered landscapes, explaining why Spain failed to locate the hoard despite extensive searches. Rival hunters attempt unauthorized digs, forcing authorities to intervene while Mateo advocates responsible research. Conversations with elders reveal that the treasure symbolizes resistance against colonization, shifting the narrative from wealth to identity. Mapping ancient trade routes reveals patterns linking inland valleys to coastal ports, suggesting hidden caches aligned with the logistical corridors rather than isolated sites. Divers discover gold fragments embedded in river sediment, evidence that floods dispersed parts of the hoard centuries ago. Media attention fuels conspiracy theories about secret recoveries, while archaeologists push for preservation guidelines. On a remote island, a cave, visible only at low tide, contains inscriptions but no treasure, reinforcing the idea of deliberate misdirection. Over time, Mateo realizes the legend's true power lies not in gold but in the stories it preserves, connecting generations through mystery. The search uncovers forgotten histories, strengthens cultural identity, and demonstrates how resistance can endure through secrecy. Ultimately, the Philippine gold hoard remains unresolved, its estimated value symbolizing humanity's fascination with hidden fortunes and unfinished stories. Somewhere beneath jungle roots, mountain stone, or shifting tides, fragments of unimaginable wealth may still wait silently, protected by time and memory. And if this is your first time watching my video, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next journey into history's greatest untold mysteries.